O Diyos aming Ama, ang lahat ng nilalang ay marapat na sumamba sa iyo. Higit sa iyong mga biyaya, sinasamba ka namin dahil ikaw ay ikaw. Lumalapit kami sa iyo, dakilang tagapaglikha, nagsusumamo at humihingi ng kapatawaran. Kami ay nagkulang at nagkasala. Patawarin mo kami sa katigasan ng aming mga puso. Turuan mo kami at dalhin sa inyong kalooban. Tingnan mo kami ng may awa at kahabagan. Hilumin mo po ang aming bayan, ang aming mga mahal sa buhay, kaibigan, kapitbahay, karatig bayan, ganon din ang aming mga kaaway sa pandemyang kinahaharap namin sa COVID-19. Isama niyo na rin ang mga may sakit sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Panginoon, balutin mo kami ng inyong kaluwalhatian. Itago mo kami sa lilim ng inyong mga pakpak laban sa anumang kapahamakan o wala sa oras na kamatayan. Kristo, ang tinapay ng buhay, alalahanin niyo po ang mga namumuno sa aming bansa, ang mga ilaw at haligi ng bawat tahanan, at mga kawani na nagtatanggol sa aming seguridad at mga frontliners. Batid mo, Panginoon, ang mga dinaraanan at bawat ganap sa aming buhay. Espiritong Banal, aming tanggulan at gabay, imulat ang aming mga mata at ipakita si Jesus ang Panginoon at tagapagligtas, ang nag-iisang katotohanan at tanging daan tungo sa Ama. Wala nang iba. Purihin ka, O aming Diyos. Ang presensya mo ay tunay na biyaya ng aming buhay. Ito ang aming samot panalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus, Kordero ng Diyos na nag-aalis ng kasalanan ng mundo. Amen.
Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Samahan na natin si Atty. Joy at DJ Gaur sa pagpapaunlad ng kalusugan sa katawan, isipan at espiritual. Ito ang Gopalakas! Gopalakas! Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Katawan, mapayabang isipan, Gopalakas.
pangkalikasan. Gopalakas.
Ayan, so isang napakagandang umaga sa ating lahat. So mga ka-Gopalakas, kamusta po kayo and welcome back sa ating Gopalakas radio program dito live sa V81 Radio. So kamusta kayo mga kaibigan? I-comment down lang natin, sana ay nakapag-breakfast na kayo or nakapag-tsaa or kape. So I hope everyone is okay. So kamusta kayo? So isang linggo na naman nakalipas at nung nakaraan ay nag-discuss tayo. At panibagong diskusyon na naman, panibagong episode na naman ngayong Sabado. So ngayong Sabado, may mga kasama tayo, syempre. Excited na tayo dyan. So bago tayo magsimula, nais magpasalamat syempre sa V81 Radio, lalong-lalo na kila Sir Rally Vargas, and syempre kay Sir Rolly Pagasbas, and syempre sa ating mga OFWs na walang sawang nagtataguyod ng kanilang mga pamilya sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, no? Syempre sa ating Safe Care, and syempre sa ating mga kaibigan, sa inyong lahat, sa mga sumusuporta sa ating radio program. So I think we need to proceed na. Let's call on our co-anchor, si Atty. Jai. Magandang umaga, Atty. Jai. Kamusta ka?
Good morning, Gaur. Good morning to all our viewers, mga ka-Gopalakas. Thank you again for tuning in to another Saturday episode of the Premium Health and Wellness Show on the air right now. Ang dami nang nagko-comment sa Facebook. Mukhang medyo mainit ang guest natin today, no, Gaur?
Oo, batiin na natin yan, Atty.
Batiin
Jai.
natin ngayon. So from StreamYard, Kalindi Relova's tuned in. Every week yata nagtutune in to na maaga. Good morning.
Congratulations. Thank
Mitch
you.
Fernandez, nag-aamin siya dun sa prayer yata ng V81. Ayos yan, ayos yan. Kita pa yung plato ko, huli na nag-breakfast na ako. Oops! Over on Facebook, ang dami na rin nagko-comment to our idol, Mr. Marco Alquiros, otherwise known, aka as Marco Polo 1256. Nag-comment siya na maaga. First like din si Uichiko Jello, aka Angelo Gubat. Good morning, thank you for tuning in. Ivy Villamor is here also. Good morning. Boss is here. Well, Boss is a guest, or a host, so he doesn't really count. No, I'm just kidding. Francis Mina also says good morning. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in this early on a Saturday.
Super segment.
Okay, go ahead, Gaur. May delay yata konti. I don't know if that's
So
on my end
anyway,
or on your end.
Sa bagay. Anyway, okay na ngayon. Narinig mo ako?
Okay na.
So, okay. So, let's proceed na. So, our program poster, pakita na natin. Siyempre, nakita nyo na yan. Pinost na natin sa ating mga pages, no? Sa FB and Instagram, siyempre. Anyway, here we go. Ang title ng ating show ngayon is Exercise and Movement, Wellness Essential. So, siyempre, very usapan na yung mga exercises, di ba? So, in regards sa physical exercise, kung ano yung mga benefits nito, Atty. Jai, di ba? So, syempre, wag na natin i-spoil. Baka mamaya kung ano pa masabi natin. We have our episode guest, Lloyd, na lifelong vegetarian, celebrity fitness instructor, and personal trainer.
Yes.
So, anyway, Atty. Jai, anong masasabi mo sa ating episode ngayon?
Okay to, no? Actually, for the past few episodes, we've been talking about more political, not really political, but deeper issues. So we were talking about urban farming along the Riles, securing food security. Now we'll go a little bit lighter, somewhat, a little bit more positive, a little bit more upbeat with our guest. Kilala ko to si Gov from before. Actually, he was more of the batchmate of my kuya, no? Pero kaibigan ko na rin yan, kalaro ko palagi yan sa sa linalaro namin. No plug. Di kayo nagbabayad ng ads eh. Hindi ko pa plug yung game nyo. Magbayad muna kayo, no? Just joking. But yeah, Gov is should be the millennial representative of health, because he's been a lifelong vegetarian and is a living testament that you can look good, you can be healthy even while observing a vegetarian diet or a plant-based diet. No?
Alright.
Good morning, Gilberto Pascua.
Okay, so wag na natin patagalin, Atty. Jai, no? So
Right,
I think
go ahead.
we need to proceed now with our segment host, si Ate Chandra, sa kanyang news and updates. And syempre, makasama natin maya-maya lang si Lloyd. So,
Right.
i-play na natin ang kanyang intro. Ayan, let's welcome
Go ahead.
Ate Chandra.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Thank you to Gaur and Attorney Jai. Mukhang marami silang nainom na kape this morning at napaka-hyper ng discussion and napaka-interesting na agad. Simula pa lang ng show. All right, so let me start with a bit of news. All right, it's been 7 months into the pandemic. And of course, we all know that nagbago ang buong mundo. We now live in what is called the new normal, but we have been discussing in this show na actually, hindi siya new. Actually, dapat yun talaga ang normal, ano? So, but the major change for a lot of people in their lives is that a lot of us have had to move indoors overnight, okay? And we have had to adapt through all the major activities related to this. So for example, it has affected our work, it has affected family, education, our moods, our expectations, our social interactions, and of course, our fitness and our health. So the fitness industry used to rely on motivating people to get out and exercise, go to the gym or go to the park, all right, to move. But since that's not a viable option anymore, the industry had to quickly adapt and move everything indoors along with the people. So workouts now take place in living rooms and yards, and trainers must guide people from a distance, either online via Zoom or Skype or YouTube, or whatever you prefer. Messenger, minsan pa nga eh. Okay, so a study finds that between Q1 and Q2 in this year alone, health and fitness app downloads grew by 46% worldwide. And according to a mid-year survey by OnePoll, 74% of Americans use at least one fitness app during the quarantine, and 60% enjoy their home workouts so much that they now plan on canceling their gym memberships for good. But according to another study that used an app to track physical activity in the United Kingdom, most people have been less physically active since the pandemic and quarantines began. The drop was most marked among those people who had been already exercising before the pandemic, or they were more active before the thing happened, and among people under the age of 40. Okay, so nag-drop in that age category. But of course, as the lockdowns eased, more people began exercising also more often, but only those older than 65, according to the study, returned to and or exceeded their previous minutes of exercise. So surprisingly, a hefty percentage of that, actually 50% of those people are older than 65. So mas humaba yung kanilang exercise regimen for this age group. So Dr. Abby Fisher, an associate professor of physical activity and health at University College of London, who oversaw this study, said the results are surprising. And of course, these older people, like the other men and women in the study, download and use an exercise app, which distinguishes them from a vast majority of people around the world who do not use such apps. So of course, far more large-scale and long-term research about exercise during the pandemic is needed, according to Dr. Abby. But for now, the message of the available research seems to be that we may all want to monitor how much we are moving to help assure that we are exercising enough. She said, while it's no surprise that the lockdowns disrupted people's exercise patterns, we cannot just assume everyone will bounce back once restrictions are lifted. We need to help people to get back to doing regular exercise within the limits of ongoing pandemic restrictions, of course. So, to help us get back into exercise and just in general moving, which are essential for our well-being, we invited someone today who has lived and breathed fitness since he was young, which he says was an influence by his mom. He is a lifelong vegetarian, a model, a personal trainer and fitness coach to a lot of celebrities. He was accredited in fitness and health in the year 2008 in Australia, and he moved to the Philippines in 2014, traveling to different parts of the country to advocate for health and fitness. He hosts on the longest running TV show in the Philippines, Eat Bulaga, for the segment Jack and Poy, and a model for healthy options promoting sustainable farming. Help me welcome to Gopalakas this morning, Lloyd.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Thank you for that, Chandra. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it's our pleasure to have you also. Thanks for accepting the invitation. So tell us about your journey, Gov, how you got started, because you said you started at a very young age.
Yes, correct. I mean, growing up as a vegetarian, essentially, even in Australia, you tend to be a little bit more conscious about what you put into your body just to begin with. Also, very active upbringing, started Taekwondo at the age of 7, which I continued here in the Philippines
Wow.
under some of the best Philippine coaches, of course. You would know them very well, Jeff Tamai, and of course his brother. So also we got into football, soccer in some countries at a very young age. So you're heavily involved in the sporting aspect of it, and we also started to dabble in the nutrition aspect of it as well. So when to eat, what to eat, carb loading cycles and stuff like that. So even after high school, I continued with my fitness, competing in soccer in Australia, surfing all the time, tennis, etc. But then also starting at the gym at 16 years old. Um, so that was a long process of learning, reading the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger, reading like different fitness magazines, and of course taking on a personal trainer myself. I had a
Hmm.
trainer at 16 for 3 months. So just trying to learn as much as I could. I was very, I guess, eager to learn um, this whole side of that it was sort of neglected um, in the sports, because if you look at sports today, the whole nutrition and the fitness side of it is a much larger portion of their training. Before it was just you go there, you kick a ball around, you go home, you eat potatoes, and so on and so forth. So fitness and yoga essentially has really gained a lot of traction in all aspects of sports and aspects of life. You look anywhere now, celebrities will be walking around in their fitness attire. It's become very trendy, I guess, which to me,
Yes.
I don't care how you get into fitness, whether it's for aesthetics, whether it's for your own ego, whether it's for fitness and health and longevity. It's a good thing because it's something that's going to bring a positive energy and a positive outlook and outcome to every person that takes part in it. So, of course, leading on to 2008, I decided to make it my actual income and my career choice, and that's when I actually took a year off from work and just really focused on getting my accreditations in the fitness industry. Yeah,
All right.
so I did that in Australia at Fitness First before moving here in 2014.
And you continued also in the gyms here in 2014?
Yes. So once I moved here, I mean, I initially moved here to do showbiz. That's when I got into doing some, of course, I was on 2 segments on Itbulaga. One was some singing and boxing before I got the long stint as the host on Itbulaga for Jack and Poi. But then also because of that, I also was brought on to shows like Mars to talk about fitness and also vegetarianism. I also got to travel to Bulacan, another area, to talk about fitness. I also did a few different TV shows and, of course, a lot of commercials and stuff like that as well. But I took on some celebrity clients. I'm not sure if I want to plug their names, but let's just say a bunch of celebrities, maybe Migo Desier, maybe throw him in there, Fabio Ide, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it's given me the opportunity to bring my knowledge that I gained over a lifetime in the industry to the Philippines. I find that the Philippines is really getting into it, probably the last decade,
Mm.
which is great, but they're still quite far behind from the United States, Britain, and of course Australia as well.
Yeah.
So it's an explosion here. It definitely was before the pandemic hit. But I think people still have one eye on it, and I can see it really picking up traction as the gyms are now starting to open up. So I'm very excited for that as well.
Yeah. Actually, I was curious. I was going to ask you about that. Like, what are the major differences do you think in terms of attitude that people have between Filipinos and Australians when it comes to fitness?
Well, I think first of all, just from the I guess the what you have access to. For example, I grew up by the beach. Australia, as a general, is set up for people to freely exercise outside. There's a lot of walking tracks, cycling tracks. There's outdoor gym equipment that's free to use. The government even gives free yoga classes on the weekends and stuff like that for everyone to come along and join. So I guess from that, Australia is a very sporting country. Whereas if you come here to the Philippines, it's because of the density in the urban areas, the lack of cycling lanes, the lack of, I guess, free access to open fields to freely exercise. People tend to stay a lot more indoors. So that in itself, already from a young age, if you wanted to exercise here, you kind of have to either sign up to a gym, you have to maybe join a basketball team or a volleyball team or something like that. You don't see as many people just kicking a football around in a park. I mean, from my experience here in Makati, that's not even allowed. They don't even allow you to freely go with your friends and kick a ball in a park. It's you cannot. You have to actually join a football club.
Yeah.
So I mean, already you're at a disadvantage.
True, true. Well, when I was a bit younger, I remember just being able to do a lot more of those things compared to now. Like you said, everything's just become more denser, I guess, you know, and so that's why I understand where you're coming from. But your mom is Filipina, and she was also into fitness from the very beginning. She was a major influence for you. So I guess she's maybe it's also from because she had that opportunity or she had that ingrained in her from the very beginning. Right.
Yeah, I guess it depends where you grow up. If you grow up in an urban area, or if you're further up north in La Union or something like that. I think it's more in places like BGC, Makati. They're the CBD of the Philippines. They're very densely populated. It's so free access exercise areas are very limited. But on my mum's side, she started doing Tai Chi probably like 30 to 35 years ago. So she was, I mean, Tai Chi is like a form of meditation / martial arts. And we also started martial arts very early as well. And that was an influence of my mother. So she wanted us to do something that encouraged exercise and also discipline and control. So as we followed that on, obviously in Baguio as well, it's, I'm sure like Jai, all of your siblings, yourself, we all grew up with that. We're very lucky to have our parents push us in that direction because it teaches you so much. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you self-defense. It teaches you about the whole fitness industry, even if it's at a small part. And therefore, it gives you that sort of base to then grow on further in life.
Yeah. You mentioned a lot of the benefits, all right, of just getting into it, not only when it comes to your physical body, but of course, mental. You mentioned discipline, right? And all of that. So how important is exercise to a person's overall well-being?
Well, it's essential. I mean, even look at people that are put into jail. They need yard time. You need to get your heart rate up. You need to basically let that energy out. So you improve your cardiovascular system, which is the lungs and so on and so forth. You also increase muscle tone, muscle density. Also, there is science backing up the fact that people, when you're growing, especially as a child, how active you are is depend on how dense your bones actually are. So people that remain sedentary, they don't build as strong bones because their body kind of sort of develops in a way that it feels that you're going to use that body throughout life. So those that are involved in sports generally build stronger bones and, of course, muscle density and so on and so forth. So from the physical aspect of it, you must exercise to maintain those muscles, to keep them tight, because the muscles support the skeletal system. You need to exert effort to also get your heart rate up, to perspire, to release tension. And then, of course, the aspect of you're doing something positive for yourself. You feel it. It's almost like whatever stresses you were feeling, it feels like during the moment of exercise and maybe 30 to 1 hour following it, it's all released from the body. And so there's almost a euphoric feeling and relaxation of the exertion that you exerted during the workout. And of course, the mind that I've done something positive for myself. And that's very important. Feeling like you've done something positive on that day for yourself for the future.
Yeah, I like a small achievement or a small
important.
tick off the bucket list.
Like, for example,
Right.
I'm not sure if you've seen it, but there was this a general in the military where he said, if when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do is make your bed. Even if that's the only thing you do in the day, but you start in a positive form. You make your bed, you've achieved something. Small victories can then build upon to larger victories. So I'm always into training first thing in the morning. So you'll wake up, you'll make your bed, so on and so forth. You'll then go to the gym or exercise in your room. And then already let's say it's 7 o'clock in the morning, you've already achieved 2 or 3 things in the morning. It sort of puts you into a positive mood, positive headspace, and therefore you can go about your day from there, hopefully then leading on to more and more positive activities.
Yeah. You mentioned you like to get or exercise in the morning. Is there a best time to exercise, and how much exercise is really needed?
Scientifically, they say it is best to exercise and then fast as far as burning kilojoules and so on and so forth. But then for men, apparently, it's all dependent on each person, but as a generalization, men actually peak in testosterone sort of in the afternoon, probably around 3 p.m. So if you're into heavy lifting, that's usually when you're at your strongest. But as far as like fat burning, I follow the IF, intermittent fasting. So I'll actually exercise first thing in the morning and then continue to fast until around lunchtime or even after lunch around 2 p.m. So it all depended on the person. To me, it doesn't matter when you get your exercise, for as long as you get it. You try to keep it consistent as much as possible, keep yourself accountable. So setting goals, setting checklists, finding a way to keep track of your exercise and how often you do it, how many reps and so on and so forth. To keep yourself accountable, especially in a time of pandemic when most people are training by themselves. You need some form to keep track, to keep yourself motivated as well.
Yeah. All right. Just a quick thing for our viewers. If you have any questions for Go, please feel free to write them in the comment section. All right. And we'll try to get them answered. So just I wanted to put that out there since we have you and you're already sharing so much in this short amount of time. So you mentioned that, yeah, people are exercising indoors on their own right now. It's the limitation that's been put upon us by this pandemic. So what advice can you give them to do it properly? Especially since they're doing it by themselves. They don't have anybody watching over them, and they're just watching all these workout videos at home. We have a lot of the popular ones. I know Walk at Home is really popular right now, especially with the oldies.
Okay, yes. Yes, well, I mean, we're lucky to be in a time where we have access to information. It's basically free on YouTube and so on and so forth. There is so much. We really have no excuses. I mean, if I had this amount of information readily accessible when I was younger, I would have cut the time down for achieving my fitness goals. So just to get started, depending on where you're starting, like a lot of people have come from an experienced background, like myself. I've also been forced indoors. I've been training indoors with nothing but a 7-kilo dumbbell to keep me company. So you actually don't need a lot of equipment, just for the basic toning. So I suggest working within a certain BPM. So the average BPM, let's say resting, is around 60 to 100. Now, you only want to work out at max about, let's say, 50 to 85% of your max BPM. It's easy to get that. You just do 220 minus your age. So for myself, my max heart rate that I should be exercising at would probably be around 160. So let's say if I'm doing like a HIIT training, so I might do like jumping jacks into jumping squats into burpees and then follow it up with mountain climbers or something like that. It's very easy to overload yourself depending on your exercise level. So if you're a beginner, you might just do 50 jumping jacks or 30 jumping jacks and then follow that with a 1-minute break. If you're intermediate, you might do 50 jumping jacks into 10 burpees and then into a break. And as you can see, it's very easy to add another exercise upon to really reach that 140 to 160 BPM. For people with heart conditions, it's very important you actually have a watch or something that you can have to keep track of your heart rate. So that's very important. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with going out there and just Googling basic exercise sessions at home without weights. They're all very similar. It's very basic. They even give you displays, like a little video explaining the form that you should follow. So So don't be shy. Go in there, ask people, look online. If you got any questions, it's better to know. Don't just go out there and do crazy things. Try to go from 0 to 100 doing backflip burpees and stuff like that. There's a lot of crazy things out there. So keep it simple. Listen to your body. Check your heart rate. Work within yourself first and work yourself up. So start with maybe 50% of your max BPM and then slowly move it up. So do 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or if you want to push the limit, I do like 5 or 6 times a week and give myself a full day's rest. So it's all dependent, but like always try to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Just slow increases as time goes on.
Is there such a thing as over-exercising?
Yes, there is, of course. That's why I like to give myself a day's rest. There are things, there's physical fatigue, there's also adrenal fatigue. I had a client who did something crazy. He did something good, but it was also crazy. He did a 24-hour exercise marathon to raise money for cancer. So he did 24 hours non-stop, like he was doing treadmill, bench press, push-ups, eating energy bars and so on. So he did that. He successfully done it, but then he ended up in hospital. He had to basically be on the drip, and he was in there for almost a week to recover because of absolute physical, mental exhaustion. So that's where I said, listen to your body. Athletes are usually the people that can very easily get sick because they're pushing their bodies to the limits. Like they are physically at the peak. So it's a fine line between reaching the peak and then overexerting, because when you're too exhausted, your body's trying to send so much energy to rebuild the muscles, etc., that you will leave yourself susceptible to like a virus or the flu or anything like that. So that's also very important. So that's when nutrition and stuff come in hand. And of course, meditation, flexibility, yoga work, that's all inclusive on the repair segment. So nutrition, they say, when it comes to fitness, to losing weight, nutrition is actually more important than the actual exercise itself. So you need it all together. You need your exercise portion that releases the endorphins, that strengthens the body, the muscles, etc. It's great for your mindset, but then you must also be very conscious of supplementation, so the right foods to then refuel the body, and then also the rest as well. So getting adequate 6 to 8 hours rest is vital for your immune system to rebuild the muscles. That's when your whole body resets itself. So, you could go into hours and talking about all the things you should eat, optimum sleeping patterns, and so on and so forth. But yeah, there's a lot of information out there.
True, but maybe you could give a general tip as to what is essential in terms of nutrition, especially when you're exercising or a physically active person.
All right, so very important, 3 servings of vegetables for every serving of protein. You should actually increase your vegetables over fruits. Fruits are very high in natural sugars. So if you have to choose between the two, staying away from preservatives, packaged food, anything that has to sit on the shelf is not the best for you. Naturally, we should be eating as fresh as possible. So from the palenque, so vegetables, mga gulay, lots of that, as much as you can. As a vegetarian, I get my protein sources from legumes, from, of course, try not to have too much whey protein, so dairy, as much as possible. Most people can't digest that. So things like tofu, also tempeh is really good. Lentils, kidney beans, stuff like that, also making hummus. So the beans and nuts and things like that are very important for vegetarians and for anyone really to get natural fats and of course protein as well. And then you want high fibrous foods. So I try to stay away from too much carbohydrates, especially things like white rice. If you're going to choose, you should go for like brown rice or black rice. Things like quinoa if you can afford. As far as natural sugars, obviously, you go your fruits. So your bananas, your papaya, your mangoes, they're the most accessible ones here in the Philippines. It's quite simple when you break it down. I tend to eat a lot of like similar foods, so stir-fried veggies. I have my legumes and stuff like that. And then if you don't have the time to cook all that food, then if you're very active in the gym, then you're going to have to go for a form of protein powder. So whey protein isolate, or you might go for like a pea protein or something, or a soy-based one. depending on your preference. And then as far as sleeping patterns, try and get 8 hours. I try to sleep by 10 p.m., wake up at 6. 6 hours is minimum that you require to fully function.
Recover.
8 hours is more optimum. So quality sleep is very important. If you're not getting your sleep, your whole body is out of sync. So your stress levels are very high, which makes your whole body run out of sync. So you're not going to process your foods properly. You're going to be craving energy, so you're going to tend to overeat. You're going to be anxious. Your cortisol levels are going to be high. You're going to be stressed, and you're probably going to be angry. So all these things are very important. So, and if you don't eat, then you get hangry. So yeah, each and everything is very important to keep the body functioning at the highest level. And then maybe before bed, just have some vitamins. So vitamin C, maybe 500 milligrams of vitamin C, some magnesium before bed also helps. And most importantly, stay well hydrated. 3 to 5 liters of water a day is probably best.
Yeah, a lot of these things we've been discussing over the past few episodes in Gopalakas, you've just reiterated the importance of them again. And I just want to bring this out there because you've been a vegetarian since birth, all right? So there's a common misconception that has already been also discussed and explained so many times, but I guess from your experience that a plant-based diet does not provide enough protein, especially for athletes or physically active people.
Yes, I mean, you're seeing it, thankfully now in, 2020, let's say in this era, that there are a lot more plant-based athletes. So we can throw down to George Foreman. There's a lot of pro athletes now, sprinters, even gym enthusiasts, that like Nehemiah Delgado, he's one that's a vegan, natural bodybuilder. That was the misconception before, that muscle required meat. Meat is the highest form of protein. You know, you need your beef, steak, etc. And I mean, if you look at life, look in the animal, I mean, a lot of the strongest animals are actually vegan themselves or plant-based animals. That's the first thing people see me and they go, "What do you eat?" And I say, "Oh, I'm actually a vegetarian." And the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, "How? You've got muscle. How is that possible? How do you have muscles and don't eat meat?" Thinking that, you know, they don't see. The problem with meat is, although it's high in protein, well, there's many problems with eating meat, but one of the main things is the body needs to be able to absorb the protein. So it doesn't matter if something's 10,000 grams of protein. If the body isn't able to assimilate that protein, then what's the point? Just like a lot of people can't digest dairy, so you could have the best whey protein, but your body's not absorbing it. So once again, what's the point? You have to find the protein that your body can most readily absorb. Therefore, you're going to actually be able to utilize it in the body. So they say even broccoli, you'll actually be able to absorb more protein out of broccoli than most meats. So yeah, I mean, I'm a living example that you do not need to eat meat to gain muscle. And actually, even in school in Australia, this is even back in 2008, they're already suggesting that people should not eat red meat more than once a month because of the fact it's so difficult to break down. Also, because of its complexity, the meat actually gets stuck in the intestines, which can lead to colon cancer. So, I mean, even someone as like Arnold Schwarzenegger is trying to promote, maybe from a point that raising cattle is really bad for the environment, and the fact that you can get the protein, or you can even get fake meat these days that tastes very similar, without harming the environment in such an extreme way. So the options are out there today, so we really have no excuses.
True, no excuse. We actually have a question from the audience. What is calorie deficit?
So basically, I mean, weight loss is basically a calorie deficit. So you need to be burning more calories than you're consuming. So it doesn't matter if I exercise all day and I'm burning, 10,000, 20,000 calories. If I'm eating 25,000 calories, well, then I'm obviously going to put on weight. So it's a calorie deficit is basically making sure that you're burning more than you're consuming. I mean, the easiest ways to do that is like what I do, which is an IF, or just starting to eat smaller portions. Because what tends to happen is when you eat big portions, you actually stretch your stomach. Your stomach's only the size of your fist. So when you stretch your stomach gets used to a certain size. So you actually need it feels like it needs to eat more food to get that full feeling. Whereas when you eat small portions, you get full a lot easier. So obviously, smaller stomach size, get full easier, you'll tend to consume less calories in a day. And then not only portion size, but choosing the types of food that you eat. So for example, a full plate of like veggie stir fry tofu with a cup of black rice compared to at this a slice of cheesecake or something. They probably have a similar calorie, but one you're actually getting nutrition. It's a much bigger meal. It's going to fill you up. Or one's just a temporary sugar flash, which will make you feel good as you're eating it, and then immediately guilty, followed by feeling tired because your insulin levels are too high and you have a sugar crash and you have to take a nap. And then, of course, 6 hours later, you're craving sugar again. So it's a horrible cycle. You're going to run around chasing sugar. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess another question just came in. How do I know how much calories I'm eating?
All calories are dependent on your calories, and protein intake is dependent on your body size. And also, you generally guys hold a lot more muscle, so they tend to need more calories. I'm not sure on the exact measurement. You'll have to look that up. It's been too long. But generally, I forget the exact percentage. But I know the average person should have like 3 meals a day, no more than like 300 calories. I think it's around 1,500 calories a day or something like that, like for someone that's really wanting to get lean. So I would actually, sorry, you can't quote me on that one. I'll have to look that one up. But there's a lot of information on it. You can check it easily online. But like I said, it's dependent on your current body size. So your height, so your BMI, your body mass index. So yeah, you can find that out on there.
Yeah. Actually, they have these apps, right, that are called like calorie trackers. So some of them
Yeah,
actually
definitely.
automatically calculate the number of calories. You just input the name of what you ate. Actually,
Yes.
yeah.
And that will
I've
all be dependent on your, like I said, the first thing it's going to do, it's going to ask you your age, it's going to ask you your sex, it's going to ask you your measurements, so your height and your weight, so on and so forth. So just judging by your age and your height, it can kind of give you a bit of an indication on what your BMI is supposed to be, and therefore what type of calories you should be consuming. And it's also dependent on what you're going for. If you're an athlete, if you're just let's say just a normal gym goer, or someone that's completely sedentary, or just an office worker that just wants to trim a bit of weight. So it's going to be different depending on your energy output in a day. So that's also important to take into consideration.
Very true. So I think that's all the questions for now, and we are almost at the end of our segment, Gove. So, what advice would you give to somebody who is just starting out? They have not had any fitness. They have not done any kind of fitness, not started any kind of nutrition. All right, but which are all important. Which actually, from what you've said, all come hand in hand. One can't be without the other, right? So what advice would you give for those who just want to get started?
Well, first things first, find a gym buddy, find somebody to help support you, whether it's someone in your household, whether you sign up to an online program with a trainer, or to just have one of your friends, ideally someone that is more experienced than yourself. So that's the very first important thing, is to have someone to help support you for the days that you don't quite feel up to it. Number two, do research. Do the research just to find out. There's so much information out there, like I said, but it can be a little bit confusing. So, I mean, if you have the income, they're not that expensive. Sign up to an online program. So it's going to be very specific to where you're at. You're going to have the perfect guidance. And then, of course, look into things. Because you're only starting out, you have to keep it extremely simple, extremely basic, and just listen to your body. You're going to be sore, almost feeling trauma, especially the first week. It gets better. Believe me, it's a snowball effect. If you can get through the first month, then you're good. You're good to go. You can just expand on that. A lot of people quit in that very beginning because they're extremely sore the first week, and then that can put them off. So that's why the buddy system is important. Work within yourself, start super light, and have realistic expectations. It doesn't happen overnight, but stick with the plan. Like I said, put a plan together, something that you can monitor, something that is achievable, and then just sort of go day by day. Don't think about I need to lose 20 kilos. Think about getting through this day, this week, this month, so on and so forth. And then you've got your nutrition, and then you've got your sleep, and you can throw in yoga. Yoga is very important for flexibility, for meditational side, to keep your mind and your sanity clear. Then just branch out. Try to find like-minded people. You want to start a new life in a positive manner. You surround yourself with those type of people that you strive to want to be like.
Mm-hmm. Birds of the same feather,
Yes,
like
exactly.
they always say.
Flock together. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Go, for the time that you've spent this morning, and for sharing all of this knowledge and experience in a short time frame that we have. We hope that you
Sure,
can
absolutely.
come back later on and maybe share, or maybe we can delve into the finer details of a lot of these things. But before we end, is there anybody that you would like to say hi to, or that you want to do a shout out for, who may be watching?
Okay, well, they said they were going to watch, but I'm not sure if they are. Shout out to Doug Explicit. Here's Mr. Migo, so that's his stage name. Migo Desier. He was a very good student of mine. That's kind of how we started out. We found each other on Itbulaga, and it turns out he actually lives in the building right next to me. And so I actually started training him, and he got fantastic results. But like a lot of people, the pandemic hit. He spent a lot of time in Hong Kong. A lot of us become unmotivated, and without access to the gym, it's kind of hard to maintain that muscular physique. But we're all getting back there again. I saw him yesterday. And everyone just stay positive. Of course, shout out to my mother, Marsha Madhava. Okay, her and of course my father Bolanath Das have been an inspiration and an example to myself and my siblings to stay fit, to stay positive, and never forget God, of course.
Thank you so much, Gov. That talk was that was very inspiring. Small steps, very important. Small steps, one step at a time, and it's achievable. Thank you so much. And I'd like to call on now our two hosts, Attorney Jai and DJ Gaur. Sorry. Yeah. And before I end my segment, I also just want to greet Alex. He's watching right now. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you, and I miss you.
All right, Gov, is if any of our viewers want to consult with you or hire you as their personal trainer, would you be able to accommodate them?
Just send me a direct message in Instagram. Instagram is Gov Lloyd, GOVLLOYD.
All right, we can link that in our page later on, and then they can just send you a message straight. So thank you, Gov. Unfortunately, I wanted to interject in so many topics earlier because being an athlete myself, that's a fun discussion for me. That's a fun talk, but we're limited by time. Great to have you on the show. Hopefully we have a part 2. Gaur, anything else before Gov goes? Oh, it's a bit of a delay. I don't think he hears us in real time. Anyway, that's all the time we have for you, Gov. Thank you for coming on to the show. Hope to have you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Everyone take care. Yeah. Peace and love. All right.
All right. So for now, I think we need to proceed to our we need to take a short break for our next segment, right? So Ate Chandra, thank you for that nice interview with Gov Lloyd. Napakarami nating natutunan, no? Small steps, napakahalaga niyan.
Sayang nga
Kailangan ko magbalik
dapat series to
I think magkakaroon tayo ng series nitong
series tayo with Gov and invite ulit natin si Doc Nash kasi physical therapist din yun doktor, diba? So we can have the science and then the actual, the guy who does it for living.
The application.
The application part of it. Anyway,
so anyways, mag-ano na tayo. We need to take a short break. So sa ating mga viewers and listeners, mga Gopalakas, huwag kayong aalis sapagkat magbabalik tayo.
Alright.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Gopalakas. Haribo ni Tagore, Haribo. Haribo ni Tagore, Haribo.
Ayan,
Sa
so
mga-
welcome back to our show. Ayan,
Alright.
dito kasama ko si Atty. Jai. Ha? So,
Sa mga nakikinig kanina pa, hindi namin
Mhm.
na-address ang inyong mga comments dahil sayang ang oras ng ating guest. Kung
yes.
nagtanong na lang kayo, dun kayo mapapansin. But for now, like to shout out to Alex Bondok, listening from Kwentong Dagat,
Yeah,
Zambales.
from Zambales. Hey, Alex.
From Imelda Avino, joining me from Paete, Laguna. Thank you for tuning in. Jomer,
Mhm.
ayop yung pangalan. I'm not sure if that's real. Rosalinda Lascano, our top fan from Okinawa, is listening. Thank you for tuning in again. Marco Alcaros, kanina pa yan. Just joking. Chris says, awesome advice. Thanks, Go. Thank you for tuning in. And Jiva, all the way from Texas, USA, is tuned in. Over on StreamYard, we also have Gilbert Pasqua, nabati ko siya kanina. Hindi ata tayo yung binabati nitong sa Jib Mondal. Mahilig lang siya bumati sa ating mga viewers.
Sa ating mga viewers. So,
Okay,
anyways, thank you sa yung panonood.
Ayan, okay. Elenet Dimakulangan says good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Gaur, ano na
So
gagawin
anyways,
natin?
magpo-proceed na tayo sa ating Living Wise. So
Alright.
sa ating mga viewers and listeners, mga kagopalakas, kung meron man kayong questions, no, pwede nating write down yan sa comment section or you can contact us sa ating Gopalakas hotline. So sa ating Globe, we have 0977-681-7315. And sa Sun, 0932-154-1154. Okay? So magpo-flash lang yan dyan mamaya. So comment anytime or mag-text kayo sa ating hotline. So sa ating mga viewers and listeners, wag na nating patagalin, no? I-invite na natin ang ating mga guest and ating speakers on Living Wise.
Alright.
Alright, let's go.
Hello.
Ayun, so magandang umaga po, Tita
Good
Socorro.
morning.
And we have Vas. Ayun, magandang umaga po.
For our viewers and listeners who don't know you, Vas, would you like to introduce yourself? Just a short
Yes,
intro.
yes.
I am the son of Tita Soki here.
Alright.
And I'm a practicing acupuncturist, and I'm also an athlete before.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Alright, sayang, no? Dapat nagtama yung... Hindi,
Speaking
go ahead,
of
Gaur.
Tita Socorro, di ba? Birthday niya kahapon. So, patiin naman natin na happy
Happy,
birthday.
happy,
Thank you
happy.
very much.
Happy birthday po, Tita Socorro. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
everything that you have shared us through this dalawang season na, no? So,
my
yun
pleasure. My pleasure to share with
Okay.
everybody. Okay, so today we have another sharing. My
Yes.
son is here because na hindi available si Tito Toby tsaka si Tita Marisa.
Mhm.
However, just so happens my son is around. So because the topic is all about exercise, movement, and wellness, so I said, why don't you share with us this morning? So I would like to, have him talk about, his younger days as a teenager. Ano yung mga exercise at saka na benefit sa kanya na mga movements para siya ay mas maging healthy.
Alright.
Well, of course, growing up, dad and mom encouraged us to exercise a lot. So I started out taekwondo when I was age 9, but before that, even as young as 5, 7, we were always going out as part of our routine. Like, during the day, we'd always go out to the park to play, and so movement and playing, is something that has been part of our schedule ever since. When I got into high school and into college days, I got into competitive sports. I was into many different kinds of martial arts. One of it was also spent a lot of time with Attorney Jai, our wushu days back then,
Yes.
taekwondo days, arnis, and I spent a lot of time. So I was a competing athlete for about 10 years. So 7 years, actually, 7 years, and then 3 years just continuing to practice it.
And the benefits na experience mo, and very fortunate naman, we had a coach na from China, genuine coach ng wushu, no? And she was the one who talagang was trying to train them in the skills of wushu art, no? So ano yung mga benefits na nakita mo dun sa mga practices?
Of course, like, I think the benefits of practicing a lot of sports or exposure to martial arts, and having a consistent training is into developing not only a strong physical body, but it also builds a very strong mind. So in a
So
way,
mental health rin
Yeah.
nakakatulong.
so in terms of being able to deal with different kinds of stress, you're very adept to facing a lot of stressors. So the mental strength of keeping going even when the going gets tough, and like not giving up. Those are very important skill factors in terms of discipline. So even when things do get uncomfortable because you're sore, you're in pain, to perform under very difficult conditions, even facing daunting opponents or tasks.
O kumbaga yung sobrang kaba,
Yeah.
when you're gonna have an opponent in promotions, mga ganon, yung sobrang takot, minsan hindi na makagalaw, they can't
Yeah.
move anymore.
So it gives you the ability to face your fears, face your obstacles that you face in life, and have the correct mindset in terms of how to deal it and facing it rather than running away.
So sabi nga nung iba, parang may daga sa puso, no? May daga dyan, parang takot na takot. However, when they go through these things, they build more confidence, and they feel a little more that they have confidence that they can deal with certain challenges in life, no? And also napansin ko that yung physical coordination as well as mental, no? Magkasama yun yung the coordination that you can have both mentally and physically in doing certain movements. You were explaining something before about the brain and everything.
Oh, I was explaining, before the show with my mom. She was asking about how the mental aspect and the physical aspect ties together. So when you do exercise and you do motions and movements on a repetitive manner, this is where we talk about consistency versus intensity. So when you're doing things on a consistent basis, it's the same precise motion and movement over a long period of time. You start developing what's known as muscle memory. So the neural pathways from your brain to your muscle, in order to give you the ability to move, it strengthens every time you repeat a particular movement. So it becomes easier. And you mentioned also, Mom, that our travels and exposure to different places like in China, I was able to see the effects of what these consistent practices do. As an athlete, I was about 16 years old, and training in the peak of my fitness, running 10 kilometers a day, and being able to scale a mountain in an hour.
In Huangshan. This is
in Huangshan, China.
In China, no? Matarik na bundok. It's a high mountain, and they have a competition where people have to run up that mountain. And
the embarrassing moment came to me when I realized that a 65-year-old man got to the top before I did. And this is not uncommon in China, where they have like their elderlies that are very, very physically fit. And the reason for this is because, from their childhood, from the start of, since they were 5, they continuously exercise, and they don't stop exercising even when they get older. So nothing stops them from being able to move. And so this goes to show that if you take your care of your body is actually designed to move. So this elderly man, I would say, has the flexibility of a wushu athlete, being able to do splits, being able to do a lot of the things that most people would have difficulty doing. So, like, age doesn't become a deterrent in terms of being nimble and being able to move, because their strength and flexibility goes to show that they were even able to compete with younger people like us in terms of climbing a mountain, or even like the stamina of performing, like your routines.
And you mentioned to me that some of these older people do that climb very often, no?
Oh, some of these elderly people actually live on that mountain. So for them to go up and down requires them to scale it, like on a daily basis. So it's a few thousand steps. It's about 5 kilometers trek up a mountain, and some of them go up and down on a regular basis.
Kagaya ng mga Igorots, hindi ba? They're very strong going up and down mountains, hindi ba? And I would say there was one kasama namin dun sa group. He's an athlete, and then he said he tried joining the group that was gonna run up, no? Then when he got to the top, he said, para akong humihingal siya masyado. He's really panting so hard. And he said, para akong manganganak. Sabi, lalaki siya. Sabi ko, paano kaya naramdaman yung manganganak na siya? Kasi yung kulang na sa hangin. Yeah, it's the lack of lung capacity to actually, deal with that kind of challenge, And you mentioned that in China also, they have a lot of facilities for people to actually exercise.
I think it really comes in the difference in culture. Like, as mentioned by Gove, like, the facilities that are available to people.
Yeah.
Like, in the Philippines, we don't really have much access to, exercise and sports facilities. It's not as readily available. In effect, like, what we lack in abundance of malls, China has an abundance of track and fields, and even parks, and they have schools dedicated to sports. So they call them sports universities, and these facilities are they take it as a full curriculum. When I was there, when we were training in China, I was able to witness a 3-year-old baby starting their career in ping pong. So they would be standing on the ping pong tables,
3 years old,
and already doing the paddle. And from what I heard from the coaches was that at the age of 3, this is what they will be carrying on until college. So really, the level of competition that they have is very, very high and very, very intense. But of course, this is where I guess your goals and priorities are. And this is the differentiating factor as to why we do certain motions. For some people, they get into sports and to enter into the competitive scene of becoming the best in the world. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to sacrifice the quality of your health, simply due to the amount of injuries that you might have to endure in pursuing that gold medal. I personally was injured a couple times. I had 2 slip discs, a dislocated shoulder. I've twisted my ankle a few times and landed on my neck several times in the pursuit of gold medals and medals. And these injuries will carry on into your later years. So, like, for me, I still have difficulty with back pains due to past injuries. So I would say, like, in the competitive scene, it definitely does show you how you can push your limits and what the body is capable of. But and the overall sense of increasing the general quality of life. I don't think it's a very, very necessary, like, pursuit to go further and beyond what your
Parang
limits
everything
are.
for the medal is not really the goal of life, just to sacrifice everything. Because I remember even my daughter was competing also, and someone was telling her, one of the coaches, don't tell your mom about your injury. Of course, my daughter told me. I said, no, we have to have that treated. They will go to a physical rehab doctor and have it checked and everything. Kasi the more nabubugbog, more stress on the injured part, then the worse it becomes. In fact, kay Vas, when he had a back injury suffered in one of the trainings, we went to a doctor, and sabi ng doctor, actually, we have to have it operated on sa slip disc niya. Sabi ko, oh my God, that's a very heavy procedure. So I brought him to Baguio, and he was non-invasive treatment with Dr. Abiog in SLU. So he was able to recover from that very nicely. So meron din tayong pag-iingat in doing our exercises, no? And that's why pala China, 3 years old pa lang yung recruitment of players nila, they're already starting. But I also heard that the kids also suffer from being separated from their parents, and just being focused in training in sports or in martial arts. However, we all feel that the goal of life is more than, it's not medals actually, but actually to achieve the human goal of actually being self-realized, being happy, being peaceful. Okay, so thank you very much, Vas, for sharing with us your experience in training and in martial arts, and the benefits as well as the disadvantages, the problems that can arise from actually doing a lot of this too much.
Yeah, there is, like, when you live your life so dedicated for the pursuit of medals, there are also forms of depression when you do achieve the medal, and then what's next for me? Like, as a competing athlete, you achieve your goal of the highest form, which is the Olympics. You have cases and stories of Olympians. We always hear the stories of, like, how some were injured, they tore a hamstring, they were still able to win the medal and track. But on the end of the day, the flip side, actually, a lot of athletes, like, at the end of the very competition, at the end of every single career of every athlete, is this question of, what do I do next? What is it in it for me? What's my purpose in life? Because my whole purpose was to attain this medal, and now that I have attained it, or now that I have failed to attain it, and I have now ruined my opportunity to ever attain it. What do I do next? And so a lot of them actually go into this search of meaning and purpose, which brings us to of course our true goals in life is into finding true happiness.
The spiritual goals, developing our relationship with the Supreme Being and our relationship with others, not to isolate ourselves. The medal will not really make us happy. You can even bring it with you when you leave your body. You can put it in the casket, but however, that even if you embrace that medal so close to you, it's not going to emanate or impart happiness. So this is the reason why also in my segment right now on the wisdom portion, I would like to say that we have to also engage in spiritual movements, spiritual exercise, and that these spiritual exercises are actually movements that bring us closer to our spiritual goals. For example, one of the movements in spirituality is actually offering of respect to others. So, meron tayong itong greeting na ito po, this is a common greeting now worldwide. Even the celebrities are doing this, which means namaste. I offer you my respect, and I offer respect also to the Lord who is within your heart. and it is a greeting of humble greeting to everybody, showing that we are actually respecting them. The other kind, hindi ba sa Thailand meron din
Yeah,
ganyang
it's
greeting?
also the same.
Mm-mm.
The greetings in Thailand is like when they greet you sawadika.
Sawadika.
Is
Yes.
they also pay their respects into the divinity that resides in the person's body, because they consider that the body is at the temple of God. So that's what they are paying respects to.
Yeah. So these movements are very kumbaga merong ano rin may spiritual benefit in engaging in those kinds of movements. And of course, even in worship, maraming mga nagwo-worship when they raise their hands and then they actually begin to dance. This is a kind of, sabihin natin, spiritual movement that is actually very uplifting, very purifying, just actually glorifying. When you raise your hands, this is in glorification of the Supreme Being, and this is actually very beneficial for all of us, no?
So yes, this is where you could see the connection between the physical and the mental state. So spirituality is really more of a consciousness, and when we do movements, it does bring the body and mind in sync, and it allows you, like, if you are not there in that spiritual consciousness of being it as an offering to the Lord, the motions itself gets you into that particular mood. So like if you're not there, the movements help in a way of how do you say, it's a practice.
Yes.
It you might not be there, but the practice itself allows you to get there
Yes.
in a certain form.
I remember our teacher Jagadguru, he said that basically when a person bows his head, kasi iba-iba yung sa church, meron tayong Catholic Church, genuflection. Sa ibang practices, meron actually bowing on the ground, putting the head on the ground. And this was explained as a sign that we are actually putting ourselves at a very vulnerable situation, that I have no self-defense. I am actually paying my respects, head, body, and mind down on the floor to actually attain that low position, So as that you're saying that this helps you, bakit ako, kasi sa pataasan, di ba? Chin up, everything. But in worship, we actually put our heads on the ground, no? Or
you kneel.
Or you kneel. Yeah,
So
that's also
the
a
act
very
of kneeling.
vulnerable position din yung kneeling,
Yeah.
hindi ba?
I think from kings refuse to bend the knee is where we get it from, is I guess like when people refuse to kneel down to somebody, is acknowledging their might. So it's a form of surrender in a way.
Yes.
So the physical action of it kind of does help you, which is why we kneel down in prayer to the Lord as well. And there's so many physical motions that actually help us accomplish this motion of surrender.
So we develop a consciousness of humility, a consciousness of seeing ourselves as being subordinate, no, lower, and not being the higher person. So it's very helpful to develop this consciousness when it comes to our relationship to the Supreme Being, to be feeling lower than the straw in the street, no. So basically, if you have all of this connected, your physical movement, your mental condition, and your spiritual awareness, no, then actually this becomes a true spiritual activity. And then we want to greet, of course. Can you read the names?
Yeah, greeting to our friends, Joanne Zamoranos, si Romy Gafud, good morning, sir. Malu Powers
In Australia.
in Australia,
Hello, Malu.
and Thomas Trankner.
Junior, okay. And of course, I would like to greet all our friends out there. And I'd like to greet nga yung mother ni Gov. Just to say that, she was my high school classmate. And she was a very good basketball player. I was the basketball coach. High school lang, play lang no yun sa akin. But the mother of Gov was a very good athlete, basketball player. And we don't want to greet her. Madhava, hello, and I hope that you are all well there in Australia. Okay, so this wraps up our session. Thank you very much, Vas, for being with us today. And whatever we have imparted to everybody, I hope you can gain something. No, yung little, meron pa ba tayong message dito from Gerard?
Gerard Chi Sanchez. Good morning.
Okay, si Gerard. Okay, and greeting to Vas also. Okay, so ang nakikita natin po, yung exercise, yung mga martial arts, yan ay very helpful. Pero syempre, wala na yung tayong mga martial arts trainings. But in the future, you can still learn some of these things kahit naman sa bahay, di ba? Some of the movements.
Definitely.
Wag lang mag-iikot ng mga, kasi 360 degrees kick and turn yata yung pinapagawa sa kanya no, na medyo nakaka-injury. Okay, and also I must say that even in Russia, in gymnastics, sometimes the young teenagers are very much pressured to actually perform. Pahirap na po yung mga what do you call yung routine, no?
Yeah, the
routines become more difficult, become more challenging, and of course the risk of injury is much greater. And there are some gymnasts who have even died because of their injuries. So basically, ito po ay we have to be cautious about getting into very competitive sports.
Definitely always listen to your body in terms of working out. And knowing your limits. So pushing the limits, it's your true enemy in terms of competition is within yourself. And exercise for the benefit of health. Keep yourself in a tip-top shape and always move your body so that, we can grow up to be these elders who can still move and use their body in a very, very healthy manner.
And Vas was also saying, actually, if you learn the consciousness of connecting your movements to spiritual activity, actually all your movements, no, what you're saying,
is when your consciousness is when you make your life an offering to the Lord. Actually, all your movements and all your actions is something that becomes spiritual. So I think it's always being embracing your heart in prayer. So embracing the Lord in prayer in every single second, every single moment in your time. And in this particular consciousness, you're able to make every single movement in your life, from the eating to the sleeping
to the exercising and everything,
and the work you do. It just always goes down to the purpose and reason why we do things. So embrace it. Always do everything that your life is a prayer. Your life is an offering to the Lord. And in that way, you actually achieve what we call spiritual movements.
Yes, spiritual movements. Yes, the advancement. May progress po tayo sa ating spiritual journey back home. And we are moving closer. Kahit every time meron akong sayaw na pag meron tayong spiritual movement na mga dances, I'm thinking, I want to jog, go back, move closer in my journey back home. Okay, so merong purpose po lahat ng ginagawa natin, and therefore we feel happy. It's not just in being able to do exercise or losing weight, but there's a whole meaning to it, why we are living and why we are connecting our happiness with a higher happiness na is not material but is spiritual, coming from within our hearts. So thank you very much. Gaur, back to you sa station, and Vas and I are very happy here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Vas. Thank you, Tita Soki.
Angas nun. Sobrang
Thank
lupit
you.
nun.
I think Vas, keyword now is ex-athlete.
Athlete, yeah. Retired athlete.
Yeah. Sabi ko pa kanina kay Gov, yeah, being an athlete also, I could relate. Sabi ko, mali yata yung sinabi ko nun.
Ex-athlete na ba? Baka
It's-
practicing pa rin. Practicing. Di
No,
ba?
it's more of like a retired competitive athlete. So
Ayun, mas maganda yung
from
yung
competition,
pakinggan.
no longer competing.
Alright.
Kasi we're still practicing. We're still doing the practice, di ba? For our daily...
Minsan. No. Yeah, sige, go ahead, Gaur. Ano
yeah.
ba agenda
So,
natin ngayon?
Alright, so we would syempre thank you kay Vas sa pagbisita. Ayan, syempre sa ating programa. So hopefully
Thank you
next
for
time
having
ulit
me.
maimbitahan ka po namin ulit sa ating show. So syempre kay Tita Socorro, thank you rin sa
We have to pray for good internet for Gaur.
Ayan, so hopefully hopefully next week makasama natin sila Tito Toby and Tita Marisa. So for now,
Tita Socorro and Vas, sorry to interrupt Gaur. Pero si
Yeah,
Gerald
so for
Sanchez
now, we
daw
need
is
to-
Ate Didith.
Yeah. Yes.
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 Okay. All right, sige. All right.
okay,
Gaur,
so
go
for
ahead.
now, I think we need to take a short break for our next segment, the good food. Yan, marami tayong aabangan dyan sa good food segment natin. So, again, thank you very much sa ating viewers and listeners and of course, kila Tita Socorro and Vas. So, see you later, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Gopalakas.
Magbabalik ang Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide. Good news para sa mga kababayan natin abroad. Mapapanood nyo na ang inyong mga paboritong V81 radio shows sa Amazon Fire TV. Simple lang ang gawin. Hanapin lang ang V81 TV app and install. Tiyak na wala kayong mamimiss na episodes na gusto nyo dahil mapapanood nyo na ito anytime and anywhere you want. Gamit ang Amazon Fire TV. Tandaan lang, just install V81 TV app and you're good to go. Another first from V81 Radio Worldwide. Balikan na natin ang Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Welcome back to the show. Unfortunately, our main anchor, Gaur, nahirapan na naman siya sa internet, no? Pagdasal niyo po na siya ay magkaroon. Nah, I'm just joking. I'm sure his internet problems will be resolved soon. But for our listeners and viewers from kanina pa, I'd like to shout out to Amy Tom, who says good morning. Tita Gonzalez, happy birthday po. Tita Socorro, wala na si Tita Socorro, but I'll be sure to pass on your message. Gaur is back, I think. Tek, pasok natin siya.
Hi. Sa ating viewers and
Ano
listeners,
nangyari
I'm
sa'yo?
back. Medyo nag-loading lang yung signal niya. So anyways, thank you again. So welcome back sa ating show. And Attorney Jay, ano yung sinasabi mo?
Hindi, binabati ko lang yung mga viewers na nakatune in kanina pa.
Okay. So,
Before proceeding to the third segment, the good food. Tek, show
anyways,
natin
sa
yung...
ating
go
next
ahead.
segment sa good food is this is an interesting show. This is an interesting topic na i-share sa atin nila Ate Chris kasi hindi lang siya simpleng recipe but this proves the power of being in a plant-based diet.
Okay. Okay, interesting Roll natin yung intro, Tek.
Yeah.
A healthy community starts at home. As mothers ourselves, we know that food nurtures and heals the body. Here on The Good Food, our focus is simple: to inspire you to eat and live healthier.
In today's episode of The Good Food, we are featuring athletes and fitness instructors who are all powered by plants. What is their secret to their success? Let's hear from them.
Hi, I'm Air. I'm 26 years old. I'm a marketing manager for a lifestyle mall, owner of Tiwa Brew, and a vegan bodybuilder. I've been vegan for 3 years now.
Hi, my name is Mon Luna. I'm 29 years old. I'm a plant-based fitness coach. I've been doing this for 4 years now.
Hey guys, my name is Kainor Bailey. I'm 25 years old and I'm a football player for the Ascals team in the PFL here in the Philippines. And I've been a plant-based diet athlete now for about 1 year and a half.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm 38 years old. I'm an OCR player. OCR means obstacle course racing. It's actually a combination of different kinds of sports. And I've been observing plant-based diet for 8 years and a few months now.
Hi, I'm Cassie Umali, 35 years old, and I've been a vegan athlete for 2.5 years now.
Back in 2014, I first heard the term veganism. The only thing that I know about it is not consuming any animal products and byproducts. I thought, hey, this might help me lose weight because I was a little bit overweight at that time. I tried it for a couple of days and it didn't work for me because obviously for the only reason that I have for it is to lose weight. And then 3 years ago, I was watching Netflix and then I saw this documentary called What the Hell? The first 10 minutes of the film, I dropped my tacos and decided that nope, I'm not eating animal products and byproducts ever again. As I expose myself to the impact of animal agriculture to our planet and how we objectify the animals just for our own sake, it made me even more dedicated and really committed myself that I will never consume animal products ever again.
Na-influensahan ako ng kaibigan ko na si TJ Jackson sa BGC. Tsaka yung sarili ko naman, napansin ko na parang kailangan ko itong gawin para sa health ko at tsaka sa environment. And then at the same time, sa animals na din.
I had an injury in my knee that required surgery, and I did a lot of research just on how to basically get the fastest recovery and what would be the best way to do that, with my diet. And I saw that eating meat causes a lot of inflammation in the body, so that was one way to reduce the swelling after surgery. So I gave that a shot, and my body just felt much better after a few weeks. I started to notice the changes already. I didn't feel so heavy. I also enjoyed the food. The food was amazing when you really explore and dive into it. My biggest influence in that was one of my best friends. His name is Jason Ng. We started off as pescatarians, and then he dove in deeper into veganism, and he started doing a lot of research, and he relayed his information and things that he found in that research over to me.
The desire of going vegan or plant-based started way back college actually. I've learned that we can actually get all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that our body needs from plants. And so I told myself that when I get pregnant, I'll go vegetarian. But a few years after, our family dentist got really sick. She turned vegan or plant-based. Then actually, the disease got reversed. And we were shocked when she got back here. She even looked younger than her age. She shared it to us and taught us how to drink and make green smoothies. So it all started there. So lo and behold, when I got pregnant, I turned vegan overnight. And I can't argue with all the benefits that I get from it. And then, aside from our family dentist, that she's the genius behind Kitchen Revolution, Marie Gonzalez. I learned from her that being plant-based won't deprive me of anything that I want to eat. It's just a matter of knowing the healthier plant substitutes to certain recipes. And lastly, one of the biggest influences in me is Prophet Daniel from the Bible. If you know his story, you'll learn the power of plants.
So it was my spirit that inspired me and called me to finally let go of the pain energy that transfers to you because of the meat. Because if you think about it, the last thing that animal felt in its body before it died was pain, fear, and suffering. And I no longer wanted those emotions inside this temple of mine. I was vegan for the animals, vegan for my health, vegan for the environment, vegan for climate change, vegan for water, vegan for hunger, and vegan for you as well.
May napansin lang ako nung nag-switch ako sa plant-based diet. So, naapektuhan lahat ng performance ko. Katulad ng stamina, endurance, tsaka yung strength ko. Pag nagpo-push up ako, hindi na ako masyado napapagod. Pag nag-workout ako, mas mabilis yung recovery ng muscle ko.
Honestly, it was nothing but good energy and just full of life and vitality. It just increased my performance even more on a spiritual, mental, and physical level. And even when I played my sports such as ultimate frisbee, I played rugby, I played touch rugby, football, soccer, American football, flag football, I even have more energy to expend into the tournaments and the games that I play in.
The recovery time is a lot faster. I feel like I'm able to even perform at a higher level, and I don't feel heavy before games anymore, as opposed to when I had meat in my diet. You just never know, it kind of messes with your stomach a little bit. But with the plant-based diet, I never had any issues with that anymore.
Honestly, I feel lighter and stronger now. But most of all, I'm so amazed how any body pain or muscle pain from races or tough workouts are totally gone in just a day.
The reason behind that is fruits and vegetables are naturally fighting inflammations. You don't get that feeling of a whole lot of muscle sores and a whole lot of DOMS. Fruits and vegetables contain a lot of antioxidants, so it helps you recover faster. Aside from that, it also gives me so much energy. Despite if I work out in the morning, I know I'll be able to go to work, do my job with a whole lot of energy. Plants contains almost zero cholesterol and saturated fat. So this improves my heart health basically, and I feel like my cardiovascular health is much more stronger now. I can train hard and on a regular basis. Unlike before, I was a track athlete back in college. I don't really feel that my cardiovascular health at that time was really strong like what I have right now. I'm very vocal with my advocacy about veganism. I try to really show to people every single day that you don't need animal products in order for you to be fit, strong, and healthy. A way to show it to them is I post a lot of progress photos of my physique, how much my body changed when I shifted to a plant-based diet, and how it changed when I started working out on a plant-based diet. And I show them a lot of progress videos of my strength, how much I'm lifting, how fast I can go. So this physical stuff, I really try to show it to people for them to understand that you really don't need meat in your life or any animal products in your life. I share a lot of food. I show what kind of food that I'm eating, that even though I don't eat meat, dairy, and eggs, I can still have a very, very delicious big meal. I eat mostly whole foods, so the amount of food that I eat is really a lot. And most people are surprised with how much food I'm eating. That's basically where I get my energy. That's basically where I get my strength. Showing it to them somehow encourage people that veganism or a plant-based diet is not restrictive, that you can still eat your favorite food, you can still eat a lot, you can still eat to fuel your body despite having no animal products in there.
I try to educate them. For example, sabihin ko ano yung benefits ng plant-based diet. Tapos na motivate lang sila.
Listen to the people that are in it, but also I think it comes from within. To do your research and to really make that switch. I think if you want to feel better and you want to perform, if you're an athlete at a higher level, I think going the the plant-based route is the best way to go.
Since I cook a lot, I usually share my food to friends and families. Well, I love sharing and show them that I am not missing anything. I post some of my workouts, races, and by there, they can see that I am not weak like most are thinking if you go on a plant-based diet. Social media now is a great influence, if not to all, but to so many. So I use it and take advantage of it also to share the food that I make.
Whenever I share my experiences and the profound feeling that actually happened to me when I transformed after just 3 days of going vegan and becoming vegan, it was life-changing. I used to have and harness so much pain, hate, and anger towards people who I deemed as my enemies before, and it just consumed me. And then I realized no wonder I was consumed by so much pain, hate, and anger. It was because I was consuming pain, fear, just so much sorrow in the eyes of those animals that were being slaughtered. And therefore, I was consuming that. I was putting that into my mouth. I was putting that into my body, into my tummy. But I always share with people that when you go on a plant-based diet or you're wanting to become vegan and transition into it, it's important that you know all the other aspects towards veganism. Because sometimes it doesn't take just one primary fact or one primary reason why you want to go plant-based or let go of meat. It sometimes takes other factors that lead into it as well. So, as the number one question that's always asked upon us vegans is, where do you get your protein?
My favorite protein source is probably tofu, soy, anything soy, because tofu is very versatile. You can just bake them or fry them and just put some sauce. You got a very good meal already. And you can make it into a pasta sauce or a salad dressing or even a dessert. So I love tofu. I eat tofu every single day.
I get it from the plants. I get amino acid instantly from plant-based diet.
All plants have actually protein content, whether big or small amount. And all the contents of plants are highly absorbable of people like the animals do. It can quickly be absorbed by our bodies. So why get your protein from a second source when you can get it directly from the main source? And while we're trying to get our protein from it, we even have bonus of different benefits like fiber, for example, which we cannot get from animal protein sources.
So there's a lot of ways to get protein. You know, beans are very high in protein. Tofu, seitan, those are very rich in protein. There's no issue with getting, protein. I'm actually a lot more fit. I've slimmed down more, but I've gained more muscle. It hasn't affected me, as far as the protein intake. You just need to know what you're eating, do the research, and understand what it is that your body needs, with your height and your weight. If you can do that and take the time to do that, then you should be fine.
If you are a top performing athlete that wants to be at their best and play and compete at an elite level, you of course would want to have first-hand energy inside this engine. The only thing on this planet that can convert the energy of the sun, which is popping up about now, are plants through photosynthesis. So when you eat the plants, you eat the most potent source of protein that you can put into this vehicle that will perform at its highest peak potential.
Definitely a lot of tofu, different kinds of tofu, firm, silken, and soft, everything. Tofu, soy milk, tempeh, so yeah, a lot of that. Beans, I store a lot of canned beans in my pantry. Frozen vegetables, frozen seasonal vegetables, because it's much more cheaper when you buy frozen broccoli or frozen cauliflower, and you get to store, you get to have them all year round despite not being super expensive, because apparently fresh broccolis are super expensive here in the Philippines. So I also have a lot of nut butters, different kinds of nut butters, seeds like chia, flax, and hemp for my fat sources. For grains, I really prefer Adlai because it's much more filling, much more fibrous, and it's so good. I super love Adlai. And of course, fresh vegetables and fruits.
Unang-una, nagbababad lang ako ng munggo, kahit anong beans. I waited for 8 to 12 hours, and after that, I drain it. And then, hintayin ko lang mag-sprout. Pag nag-sprout na, pwede mo nang kainin siya for raw. Raw na lang siya. Mas maraming phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, and everything that you need.
Wow. I really like a lot of stews. Stews are my thing. Tuscan white bean stew, or like a hearty lentil, Moroccan butternut chickpea.
My kitchen is like a mini grocery. Like what I said, I cook a lot, so I make sure my pantry is complete with all the herbs and spices that I usually use. I also have different kinds of beans, always nutritional yeast, nuts, especially cashew, because I use it with lots of recipes. Complex carbs, different flours, and fruits.
Usually, I love having any sort of fruits that are in season. In terms of vegetables, sayote. Sayote, I probably eat sayote almost every day. Gotta get some raw cacao in. So raw cacao nibs or even the whole bean, I eat that as well. Great fiber if you keep on that little thin layer of the husk. You gotta have some spirulina in there. I know these are superfoods, but they're super important for your diet, especially if you're transitioning. I like getting good fats in there, such as walnuts, an excellent source of natural protein and natural good fats. So those are things that I like sprinkling into my everyday fruit cereal bowl. And of course, bananas. Who doesn't eat bananas?
I train without eating. I train without anything on my stomach. I work out. After that, I eat.
I personally don't like to eat too much before I work out. Earlier in the day, or if it's in the morning, for an example, I'll normally just have a smoothie. For an example, I'll have bananas, mangoes, chia seeds, flax seeds, acai, a little bit of soy milk in there, hemp seeds. That's mostly what I would have for breakfast.
I'm quite an orthodox when it comes to pre-workout meal, because I do my workouts in the morning, fasted. I've heard about it, research, and surprisingly it works for me. Even whenever I do races, I do it fasted too. Well, somehow, I just take a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses and then maybe take a bite of Power Bar past 12 noon already.
For me, basically is just, having a good source of carbohydrates in there and sugars that I would get from fruits. Bananas, apples, pears.
But for post-workout meal, I usually started with fresh juices and then fruits, then a full meal. I make sure to satisfy the power plate to get all the nutrients that I need for the day and replenish all those that I use during the workout.
For a workout, I typically would like to have something lighter. So whether that's a salad, maybe a couscous with tofu.
I always eat protein waffles. So basically, it's just oats, oat flour, vegan protein powder, baking soda, vinegar, and water. That's just it. And then I top it with peanut butter, banana, or peanut butter and jelly. So it's really good. It keeps me full the whole morning, and yeah, it's super easy to make. So
it's always nice to have like your legumes, such as mung beans. You have black beans, red beans, or even, let's see, soybeans. any sort of beans or nuts. I like eating that after my workout just to replenish the protein in there.
We've heard it millions of times already that you need meat in order to be strong. You need eggs for you to have good gains, and you need milk to have strong bones. But there are lots of studies already disproving that. And just by looking at it, there are a lot of elite athletes, world-class athletes who are now vegan, who are now plant-based. And more athletes are now shifting to a plant-based diet because it's really beneficial if you're if you're doing sports. It's really beneficial also, even if you're not an athlete or you're just a regular Joe trying to live your life. There is really nothing but good to say about the benefits of being on a plant-based diet. You really have to experience it, and you have to give it a try in order for you to feel its benefits. Not only do you get to save yourself, not only that do you get to be strong, you get to be fit and healthy, but you also get to save trillions of animals from being slaughtered, and you can also save the planet. So, go vegan.
Nagsisimula ang pagkontrol ng ating kalusugan, ng ating kalakasan sa pamamagitan ng pagkain.
It's not actually true that you're going to be weak when you go on a plant-based diet. You will actually reap more benefits that will help you as an athlete. Kindly watch the Game Changers for more scientific explanations, and you'll be amazed how great athletes are enjoying the benefits of it.
I think if you do the research and you really want to take yourself to another level with your body, then I think that you should really look into going plant-based. And two films that I recommend watching are Earthlings and What the Health on Netflix. Go try some vegan restaurants, explore a little bit. You know, it's food at the end of the day, and they do a very good job at replacing the meat with other substitutes, using tofu or seitan, jackfruit. You know, they make jackfruit burgers or black bean burgers, or they also make, nuggets. They really got the texture down, and I think it's not too far off from the diet that we've all have been brought up to eat. If people just go in with an open mind, then you're probably likely to switch. So.
Wow, what a feature on our local Philippine plant-based athletes. Nakakataba ng puso, no? When I was in the national team, in my younger years, the glory days, bihira talaga ang athletes na plant-based dahil mas prevalent noon ang misconception na you cannot be strong enough to compete at the highest level unless you're eating meat. Now, we've been reiterating that message on and on and on over the years, but our voice has been that of the minority. But now it's such a great sight to see that becoming more and more the mainstream opinion. Kudos to all of those athletes that were featured in that video. Hopefully we can invite you on the show some other time. But enough of that. We are proceeding with our last segment. To all of our listeners and viewers who are still with us up to this point in the show, thank you for staying with us. And now it's the time to chill out with some music meditation. Deck roller intro.
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Thank you very much, Gopalakas. Thank you very much, V81. At sa ating mga nanonood, kumusta po kayo? Sana okay lang kayo dyan.
Welcome ulit to Music Meditation. Oras na naman para mag-relax and meditate sa mga healing sounds. Okay, so kagandahan sa music meditation, pwede i-practice ito kahit saan, kahit kailan. Sa ngayon, samahan natin ang mga ating kaibigan sa Sif Care for Music Meditation. Okay, let's begin. thank you very much, our friends from Sifcare, in doing music meditation with us. At sa mga ating nanonood, thank you for your participation. So, hanggang sa muli, magkita ulit tayo. Salamat! Back to the hosts.
Manu from Music Meditation and the production team you have, if you have one. Actually, Manu does all his videos in his own. I'm just kidding. But thank you for always hosting the last segment of the show, closing out the show on the perfect note, on the chill note, right before people start the rest of their Saturday. Starting off with lunch. Hopefully, nagutom kayo sa mga dinidescribe na pagkain doon sa good food. At ngayon ay kalmado ang inyong isipan at puso dahil sa music meditation. It's been a great episode so far. We've had a great guest, Lloyd, and our featured video. Hopefully we can invite them for a series on exercise and movement, and hopefully discuss a little bit more on the plant-based diet and being healthy, being an athlete, being active. Fortunately, that's all the time we have for you today. It's 12 o'clock on a Saturday. Have the rest of the weekend. Hopefully you have a great rest of the weekend. I know may parating na bagyo, so be sure to prepare for that. This is Jai. Unfortunately, Gaur cannot be with me when we say Gopalakas. Goodbye. Peace. Thank you.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Gopalakas.
Pangkalusugan at pangkalikasan, samahan si Atty. Jai at DJ Gaur sa pagpapaunlad ng kalusugan sa katawan, isipan at espiritual. Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Pangkalusugan at pangkalikasan tuwing Sabado, 10 a.m. Philippine Time. Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide. Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan. Basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy. Panalo!